Scuba diving. I'm Steve Ember and I'm Barbara Klein with Exporting in VOA Special English. Today we explored the clear blue waters around the island of the Bahamas to learn about the exciting sport of scuba diving. The word scuba stands for self-continued underwater breathing apparatus. Knowing how to dive often up and try underwater world of coral, fish, and other creatures. Join us as we learn the basic of diving, talk to an expert, and say hello to a shark. Imagine swimming in clear blue waters as you look at small, prickly coral fish and then trickling space of coral organisms. The underwater world is quiet except for the sound of you breathing. When you breathe out, you see many shining air bubbles floating upwards towards the surface of the water. Since humans are not designed to see and breathe underwater, scuba diving requires several pieces of important equipment. Scuba divers must wear a mask in order to be able to see underwater. The mask creates an airspace that protects the eyes and nose. Scuba divers breathe with the help of a regulator which brings air to the mouth when they inhale. The regulator is attached to an air tank that is placed on the driver's back. There is an extra regulator called an octopus which is used in case of emergency situation. Drivers also wear BCD or BUC control device to control how much the fluid or shine. A pursuit gauge device tells drivers how much air is left in the air tank. Or a dive computer can calculate how much air is left as well as driver depth and the length of time he or she can stay underwater. Divers wear scuba fins on their feet to help them move easily and quickly through the water. Many divers also wear a vest in order to stay warm underwater. To learn how to use all of this equipment, it helps to go to dive school, become a creative diver, start their series of lessons. New divers must learn about their physique and safety of diving and the most practice diving skills first in a closed water area and then on actual beginner dives. Several organizations offer official diving conservation. Scuba diving for fun first became possible with the development of the aqualung by Jacques Cousteau and Emilia Gangnam in the early 1940s. In the United States, articles in popular magazines about Cousteau and his underwater exploitation methods helped bring attention to scuba diving. Because of the cost of the equipment, diving did not become a widely available sport until years later. Taking diving class and become confident are important for knowing how to dive safely. For example, you need to know how to put a regulator back in your mouth if it falls out underwater. And you need to know how to clear your mask if it fills with water. There are many other safety issues to consider when diving. For example, when going down deeper in the water, a diver must be careful to equalize the pressures in his or her ears. This is done by holding the nose and blowing very gently. Otherwise, the extreme pressures from the surging water can cause damage to the middle ear and sinus. The composition sickness is major concern for divers. The deeper a diver goes, the more pressure the surging water puts on the volume of the air inside his or her lungs. And the deeper a dive, the more nitrogen gas goes into the diver's blood. For safety reasons, a diver must measure the length of his or her dive vest on its depth so as not to exceed a safe amount of nitrogen atmosphere. When divers rise to return to the water surface, they must continue to breathe and rise not faster than there are bubbles around them. For very deep dives, they must stop and decompress at certain levels. This way, the highly pressurized air in the diver's lungs has time to leave the body before it's expelled. If a dive rises to the surface too quickly, he or she can become extremely ill with the decompression sickness, also known as the bends. Another important axiom to diving is having a buddy system. By having a diving partner, you can watch over one another and help each other if there is an accident. One important diving rule is to never touch any of the sea life. This rule is both to protect the diver and to protect the underwater environment. For example, there is a recent fire coral reef saved in its name. This kind of coral causes a painful burning feeling if touched. A diver could also be cut by touching a sharp piece of coral. Coral may seem hard like stone, but it is actually a very fragile organism. It can be damaged if divers touch or stand on it. In order to protect the beautiful coral reef system, divers must treat them with care. Tito Baldwin. I think everyone takes a different aspect away from diving. I think what they love about diving could be the color of the ocean, could be the fish phones, it could be a gamut of things. Everyone is different. That was Tito Baldwin, a risk diver from the famous who has been diving for almost 30 years. He has done everything from diving to explore underwater support to diving 18 meters deep. It might not surprise you to know Tito Baldwin's favorite place in the world to dive. Tito Baldwin. Anywhere in their Bahamas become the Bahamas is probably the most beautiful water. The farther south you get away from civilization, past Town down to the Plana Cays, Hoggies, little language wherein haunted by humans is just vibrant, alive, coral full fish everywhere. You get some pretty good extreme diving. You've got good wolves, you've got good tunes and comforts there perfect everything you could possible imagine. We went on shark dive with Tito Baldwin in an area of the famous called the Exmouth. The dive site, known as Tanger Reef, is just short of Indigo Island. The water there was very wrong, but once you feel back one of the boat and enter the water, you enter a calm and colorful world. The main purpose of the dive was to see the many carbon reef sharks that gather in this area. These sharks have a rounded and short snout and big round eyes. They eat mainly bony fish. A fully grown female Caribbean reef shark measures about 2 to 3 meters, while a grown male measured 1.5 meters or more in length. It's very exciting and a little bit strange diving among the sharks. You feel as though you should be afraid. Even though the sharks are not aggressive at all, the sharks just swim around, watching what is going on around them. At Tenerife, there were also many large nose grouper and yellowfin grouper fish. If you float above the rock coral formation, you can examine the smaller creative swimming in the reef. The brick yellow and purple fish called the fireblades look like small swimming giraffes. Many kids of fish swim in and out of the brine coral, elk-crown coral, and sea fans, which wove gently with the current. Back on the boat, we asked Tito Building more about the safety of diving with sharks. Tito Baldwin: when you get in the water with sharks, people are automatically sad because they've seen all these crazy moves. But sharks are just like every other animal in the water. They are petrified of human beings. We were 2 feet away from 5-foot sharks, and they were just kids of crickling around us like everything else in the water. The groupers were close to us. The sharks were close to us. The yellowtail were close to us. They are keen, of course, and they are more afraid of us than we are of them. There are many other beautiful places around the world to dive. Scuba Diving magazine listed several of the music diving tests. These include burning one of the North Antilles islands off the coast of Mexico. Here, dive can explore many reefs within a protected marine park. Divers can often explore the sea chanters that live in and around the ship. Hilma Hawker, this 70-meter-long cruise ship sank over 20 years ago. Off the coast of Baja California in Mexico, divers can see large sea creatures like sharks, giant manta rays, and dolphins. Scuba Diving magazine also recommends the Fiji Island in the South Pacific Ocean. Many divers go here to see gray reef shark or hammerhead shark. In Australia, divers can explore many interesting areas, including the Great Barrier Reef. It is the largest coral reef system in the world, measuring over 2,000 kilometers in length. This extraordinary natural formation offers many exciting dive possibilities. Also in Australia, the Cons Hole diving area of the Reboot Reefs is famous for its large potato confits, and at the lake's Vermont site, divers can swim with minka walls. Scuba diving in any of these places is an extraordinary experience. This popular activity also people to see and expand and extreme underwater world in new way. This program was written and produced by Dana DeMine. I'm Steve Ember and I'm Barbara Klein. To see picture of a dive in the famous, visit our website voaspecialenglish.com. Join us again next week for excellent fun in VOA Special English.